Okay, welcome. In this video, I'll show how to draw an entity relationship diagram. How to draw an entity relationship diagram using draw.io. Draw.io. You can do similar with Lucidchart and Microsoft Visio. Okay. So let me see. I created another video that showed the symbols, that shows the different symbols that can be used to design, to draw an entity relationship diagram in draw.io, right? So the symbols like entities, attributes, and the coordinates, what are the different symbols available, right? I'll start from there. And really do some entity relationship diagram in this particular video. Okay, let's share the screen. So you can see how to draw ER diagram. Okay, so this is the one that I showed in the other video. What are the different symbols? You can see different ways of entity, right? Different ways of showing the entity, types of entity, sort of tables you can say. So I'll choose this one. I'll choose this one. Okay. This is for weak entity. So you can choose from these three. Strong entity is for weak entity, right? I think it's for the attributes, right? Attributes. I think you can show attributes like this, or you can show attributes like outgoing line and then ellipse, right? Outgoing line and ellipse, right? That can be the attribute. So attribute, this is the primary key attribute. Primary key attribute, this is the, okay, let me see. One of them is the foreign key. Foreign key attribute is the dotted lines. And then this is the derived attribute. Okay. There are some weak key kind of things. Let me see. So yeah, that thing is foreign key will be dotted, underline, that's fine. Primary key will be solid underline, that is fine. And that is derived attribute. Okay, so these are the symbol. This is the regular attribute. And there are some other attributes like composite attribute, multivalued attribute. Okay, so there are symbols for that as well. Okay, anyway, an associative entity, usually when the relationship is also an entity, then it will be associative entity. That's a diamond relationship, and this rectangles is the entity, so it's associative entity relationship and but entity, right? This is the relationship, this is the weak relationship, and these are the different symbols, right? For one-to-one, we'll use this one-to-one. For many-to-many, this is what we'll use. For one-to-many, this is what we'll use. And in some cases, there's cardinalities are used like this. Okay. Let me see. So yeah, it looks like I'm again giving some. In the other video, I probably went a little bit more details and show where you can bring it from, right? Entity, which one is what? I showed it in there. So watch this, then you will know, or you can just hover over and then you will know. Okay, let's see. I also mentioned that what do I show? What do we show in ER diagram, right? What are the different possibilities? Okay, so what are the different possibilities? You can show entity names, attributes, and when you say attributes, definitely the types of the attributes, single attribute, simple attribute, derived attribute, multivalued attribute, composite attribute, all those things, primary key attribute, foreign key attribute. So you can show it, right? And the required fields, you can show required fields, right? And the relationship lines, and then types of relationships, primary key fields, foreign key fields. I think those actually goes in there. Those actually goes in there. Okay. So these are the things that we'll be showing. Okay. Now let's draw something, right? Let's draw something. So this one. Okay, let's say I probably want to go file, new. Let's say the library management system, library. Or let's say bank management. Okay, let's say in a bank management, what can be first step? Here's a step by step ERD. Step by step ERD. First of all, entities. Put all entities. Put all entities, right? Put all entities. So let's see. In a bank, I can use entities, right? Entity types. Let's see. Bank, branch, customer, account, entity relationship here. And then let's see which one I want to use. Let's use this. This is, let's put it bank, and then branch. Bank, and then the branch, and then customer, and then the account. Okay, this is the customer. This is the customer. Let's say this is the account, right? Let's move it little further down. Customer, account. Let's do the loan. Let's do the payment. Okay, loan and payment. And then let's put some employees. employees, employees. Okay, so entities are there. Entities are there. Now I have to put attributes. Let's see. This one you could just write the attributes here, but let me use some line and the ellipse. Let's see, bank. Yeah, attribute, key attribute, right? So let's see, for bank, let me do the first, like bank. What is the thing? Bank, bank code. Let's say bank code. That is the primary, right? So no, I don't want a row. I want a line. Is there any straightforward line here? Okay, okay, let's try it. Looks like it will not move. So I can just borrow some line from here. In the general case, okay. Okay, it looks like it's not that type of line that I wanted to take. Directly fits. Okay, I don't think this is a good representation. Just directly like this. Okay, it's better. Right? Bank code. Then bank name. I need to group the simple attribute. That is the primary key. Now this is a regular attribute, right? So bank code and attribute, right? Bank code attributes means bank name. Bank name. That's fine. Now let's say branch. For branch, I also need attribute, say branch code. Branch code, right? Branch code, that was supposed to be a key attribute. Let's see what is the key attribute. Attribute, key attribute, right? Key attribute, branch code, right? Branch code. Bring forward. Okay, branch code. Okay, it probably goes with it. That's fine. That's fine. Branch code. And let me see one other simple attribute. Okay. Okay. In some in Lucid chart, let me see. Okay. But okay, that's what I'm saying. In the picture, we just draw them. It creates, I think that way it did it here. Line style, right? If I put it like this, does it change anything? Yeah, sometimes you can select it from there. Edit style, rounded, orthogonal, loop 1, JT size, HTML. Okay, let's for now remove it. Here and this. Okay. So branch, let's say address. So you know how to put the attributes. Okay. Now comes down to relationships, bank and branch. Bank and branch, those are bank and branch, those are one-to-many, right? One bank. Okay. So let's say put all entities that we did. Put all attributes we did. Key attributes. We did a few, right? Primary key attribute, bank code, and the branch code. So now you can do the other similar. Now it will be the relationships, right? Relationships. So for relationships, what you do? Relationships, you take, let's say, bank and branch one to many, right? So go there. Okay. I think this optional part, I do not want to bring this optional part. This one. And this, right? One to many. Okay. Account and customer. Account and customer, that is also one to many, right? One account, one customer can have one account. One customer can have one account, no. One customer can have multiple accounts. That one to many. And one account belongs to one customer. I think generally one account can be shared by multiple customers as well. Let's model it as a many to many. I'll take the the regular many to many without considering the mandatory or optional thing. Okay, mandatory or optional thing. Without that thing, I just do it. This. Okay, customer. One customer will have many account. One account can belong to multiple customer, right? One account can belong to the same account. Okay, so many to many. Now, loan and payment. One loan can have many payment. One particular payment belongs to one loan. That is the general case, but in some cases you can consolidate or not. So depending on that, things can go the other way around. But I think for a simple case, let's see. One loan can have many payments. One payment belongs to one. That's one to many. For one to many, I'm using this. Right? And now employees account. Employees account. I think employee and account. One employee can manage multiple account. One particular account can be managed by one employee. Okay, I think depending on the business, what is the purpose? Whether you want to stimulate this manage or not, that probably we can say, okay, there is no specific things about employees and accounts. I think we do not want to keep track. We do not want to keep track which employee is managing which account, which employee is managing which account. We don't want to. Okay, I believe I can show it this way, but usually they keep track. Usually banks, I think, if you create an account, usually they keep a reference which employee created the account, right? And sometimes if you provide some services, they may also maintain some information about which employee provided the services, right? And now there are other types of, let's say you're opening a investment account or a tax-free savings account, right? There are different types of accounts that you can create, right? So in that case, each time you can assign an account, assign an employee for that particular account. Okay, in this case, I'll just keep things simple. Okay, in this case, I'll just keep things simple. Okay, let me, I need to drink a little bit of water. Okay, let me see. For our case, let's see, we are just representing who opened that account. Who opened that account? Let's see. One employee can open multiple accounts, but one account, one employee, multiple account, but one account can be opened by only one account. In that case, we can model it as one to many, right? Sometimes just copy it and then paste it, right? And move a little bit. Okay. It looks like it's not being that good. Okay, I think in that case, let's move this one to here and here. Okay, so it looks like probably it from here better. Maybe one to many, right? Let me see. So I can model it this way. Rather than moving the arrows, moving the entities, that probably is better, right? One to many. Okay, so relationships are there. Now cardinalities by those vertical lines or spiky, we sort of know what are those. Okay, I'm just thinking what else I can show, right? Let's say now if you are thinking about composite entity, composite attributes, right? Composite attributes, one attribute with multiple different individual parts, smaller parts. That's the address. We can think address as a composite attribute with, let's say, composite attribute. We can say street, then street, apartment or house number, and then say city. You can have other parts, postal code, province. Let's just keep it simple. Right? Here, and then another one. Okay, so now you see it, right? Okay, device, browser. Okay. That's fine. Now, so this is the composite attribute, right? And I believe if it is a derived attribute or multivalued attributes or okay, let me see. So we also saw we also showed the primary key attribute, right? A foreign key in this case, let's see what can be the foreign key. The bank code comes into branch, bank code comes into branch, then become a foreign key. But in entity relationship diagram, usually we do not think in terms of foreign key. Okay, let me keep it like this. I think primary key is represented depending on the relationships. If we know that in depending on the relationships, the bank code will eventually go to the branch table, and that will become a foreign key, right? And we know that customer and account will be creating another table, customer account, customer ID and account ID. There's in that table, that customer ID and account ID both will be the foreign key, right? Let me see. This is one way of doing it. Now another thing is, I think if you are asked to show everything there, then you may want to choose a different symbol for the entities, right? You can see usually they represent table, but if you require that the primary key, foreign keys are there, but you can probably use this one, right? You can probably this one, and somewhere beside the attribute or before the attribute, you can just say primary key or foreign key, or probably you can underline or dotted underline. Those can work to indicate primary key, foreign key. Okay, and if you use this type of symbol, then actually you can just show the attributes there rather than just showing it there. Okay. Okay. Let's see now. You can see chain notation. Chain notation ERD. Chain notation ERD. I think you can say that chain notation looks like this. There are different sort of notations, right? Chain notation. This entity, weak entity, associative entity, attribute, right? Key attribute, partial key attribute, multivalued attribute, derived attribute. This is the composite attribute. Okay. Now relationship is this, weak relationship is this, optionality. Okay. Mandatory, solid line, optional relationship, dotted line. Mandatory sometimes is the vertical line depending on, but in this notation, let's say mandatory relationship, solid line, optional is this. Cardinality, one-to-one, one-to-one, this is relationships, one-to-many, one-to-many, many-to-one, many-to-many. Okay, let me see. Mandatory participation and optional participation, total participation, partial participation, a solid line and the double line, weak relationships, right? Okay, so you can see it, right? Ravi foot notation, ERD. Ravi's foot notation, entity, 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 entity like this, entity like this, right? Just rectangle directly, just entity like this, right? You can see the attributes and you can see attributes, right? Attributes in draw.io, you can do the same, right? This is cry foot notation and this is chain notation, right? Okay. The relationship one and many, right? One and many. It actually means mandatory one, mandatory many. Okay, you can see this mandatory is vertical line is the mandatory, right? This is the optional. This is the optional. And you can see mandatory is the solid line, optional is the dotted line. I think just relationship line that indicates that thing, or here we're doing it like this, right? Optional, many, mandatory, many, mandatory, multiplicity, optional, one, optional, one, right? Okay, relationships, mandatory, one to one, one to one, one to many, mandatory, one to many, mandatory, one to, sorry, one to zero or many. This side is one, but this is optional many. Okay, so student and course, you can see many to many, and this is also about zero, right? Okay, so these are the two different things that you need to know. Okay, now we sort of mixed up here. We can say this types like this. This is chain notation, right? This is chain notation. Okay, chain notation, this entity and this attribute, this is also chain notation. But in terms of relation, sort of taking it from the Taoist notation, right? Taoist. Okay, I believe depending on what is required, you can use. I think, yeah, it's better to follow one standard. But I think whoever understand in terms of whether you understood it or not, definitely you will understand either way. Okay. Okay, I think recommendation will be follow one of the standard, right? Follow one of the standard. Now, in Christ foot notation, they did not show the optional and derived and multiple attributes, right? Okay, so let's say Yeah, there are symbols, right, to indicate. Sometimes there will be square bracket, sometimes a square bracket, sometimes curly braces. All those things they use to indicate the different types of attributes. And for primary key and foreign key, they can use some PK, FK, those kind of things, right? That's if you use one. If you use this approach, you can use primary key, foreign key, all those things, right? Here you can show the primary key. When you have just only primary key, no foreign key, you can use this approach. When you have primary key, foreign key, you can use this approach. When there is a composite primary key, the multiple key together creates the primary key, then do it, right? Okay. Okay, that's the end of this. Let me see crowd attribute types. We put ERD attribute types symbol. Okay, I hope I'll try to find something. Zero on many, that's fine. Let me find something and then I'll come back. Okay, so you can see that in the one of the identifier is underline, partial identifier, double underline, partial identifier, okay, derived attributes is square bracket, multi-valued is the curly braces, and composite is parenthesis and then comma, right? Composite address is a composite attribute, right? Address is a composite attribute. What is an example of multi-valued attributes? Multi-valued attributes, the attribute can take multiple values. Let's see your phone number. You can have cell phone, work phone, home phone, 3 different phone numbers. Phone number can be multi-valued attributes. Derived attributes. What is derived attribute? Let's see. Your age, right? Your age can be a derived attribute, because if you store the date of birth, right? If you store date of birth as an attribute, so you can just use age to calculate it from that, right? So age is based on the some other attributes. So that is the derived. Okay. What can be other examples, right? You are thinking, let's say, storing the cost of something, storing the cost of 1 unit, then you are again storing cost of 5 unit, right? Cost of 5 unit. So that can be derived from the 1 unit price, right? But I think in some cases it makes sense. Let's say the price of electricity. The price of electricity per watt hour. That is one type of cost, right? Cost or price per watt hour, right? Per watt hour. But on the, you can also see the price per kilowatt hour, but that can be derived from that, right? The value. So this will be the derived attributes, right? Derived. And multi-value, you can see phone number. Phone number can be multi-valued, right? Multiple. It can have multiple phone numbers, right? So that is the thing. And then composite, I told, address is the composite, multi-value is the phone number, derived is the, let's say, date of birth and age. Age will be the derived, or I think cost per watt hour, that is one thing, and cost per kilowatt hour. This kilowatt hour will be the derived thing. Okay. So, okay, best of luck. I believe things are not that difficult. You can do it. Okay, bye. Okay,